Hi everyone, and welcome back to my craft room. Today we're going to do the first of the 3 cards to go. I'm currently offering 3 cards to go that I will pre-cut, package up, and send to you in the mail, so everyone who can get mail can get these. But today I'm going to go through how to make the first one. Before I do that, I want you to know that this is using the Ornate Garden suite from the new annual catalog. Everyone is able to order this now. It's kind of a pre-release and a sneak peek teaser of what's in the new catalog. But the new catalog will be mailed out next month. And I believe I have sent out an email to, I think, everybody that anybody who has ordered from me in the past year will receive a catalog for free. Anybody who hasn't ordered can still get a catalog. If you just let me know you want one, the cost is $6. That's my cost. And if you do order from the new catalog, I will give you a surprise gift worth about $6 so that it won't end up costing you anything. So you don't know what your surprise gift will be, but I think you'll like it okay. So let's jump in and see our card for today. Okay, this is the card we're going to make today. Just for a little recap, the other cards in this Cards to Go pack is this one and this one. Remember, you supply the stamps. You stamp it with anything you want. So I will send you all the paper products you need, and then you just add your own stamps. So it's okay if you don't have the stamp sets that I'm using. I will be using the Inspiring Iris stamp set on this card today. This is still available in next year's, in the new annual catalog, so it is not retiring. So if you want it, you don't have to hurry. It is still available. Check out the last video and the last blog post for the items that are retiring in case there's something on there that you just have to have. Remember specifically that Stampin' Blends will only be sold in combo packs. So if you have half a pack, if you have either the light or the dark of one color and you want the other one, now's the time to get it, because coming soon they will only be sold in combo packs. One other thing I want to make sure you know is that this little blue plate will be going away. This little blue plate works great on our embossing machines if you have the Big Shot or the Big Kick or anything similar to that. This little blue plate is the perfect size for our embossing machines for this particular folder and any others that the Stampin' Up! Calls their 3D folders. It's only $10, and for me it's worth it because I just embossed a bunch of these for these card kits, and I like to emboss. So let's jump in. This is the card we're making, and this is what's included in your card kit. So you'll get this paper. It's already embossed. You'll get the items we need to build it, the ribbon, and then you also have 2 pieces of this, and we're going to put it together, and then you'll get an inside. So the first thing I want to do is I like to ink my folders so they stand out a little better. So I'm going to set these things aside. Now I just want you to know that you can use a sponge dauber to ink these folders, but I find that it gets a little messy. So what I did was just pull out an inside of one of my stamp sets. And I don't have, oh, here it is. I just pulled out, I have this is an older stamp set, but I just pulled out, oh dear, it's in there tight. I just pulled out the inside of this wreath, the inside in here, and you can use anything. You can cut a little piece off of here and put on your block and use for this particular technique. But I just happened to have this, and I knew I had this, so I am just going to ink this and run it over, and that'll give me the effect that I'm looking for. So the first thing is the white, the Whisper White, and this is an old one. I didn't buy a new one of this because works perfectly fine. And just a note about the Stampin' Up! Whisper White, it is a pretty messy, sticky ink. It's a good ink, but it's a pretty messy, sticky ink. And I don't have it inked real heavy right now, because if you do ink it heavy and close it up, it kind of runs out. You can see there's a little bit of it run out right there. So it kind of runs out. So I don't really ink it up a lot. I just ink it kind of as I need it. And I have ink all over my fingers now, because again, it's a really messy, sticky ink. So start in where you know it's going to be covered. So just start right there and just, you see how that just goes on so nice? Just drag it across the folder. And it just highlights those raised areas. So you can put on as much or as little as you want. I will tell you that as it dries, it will soften, so the color won't be quite this brilliant, because I did the exact same thing to this one. And as it dries, the color will soften. Okay, now I did that, and I decided that wasn't quite enough for me. I wanted to add a little more. So I'm getting my Simply Chamois out, wiping it off. And I'm going to put this sticky white ink pad. And I checked online for a review of white ink pads, because that one was so sticky. But it turns out that it ranks pretty much #1 among all the white ink pads available. So even though it's sticky, it does have good coverage, and it's rated pretty well. So now I'm doing the same thing with the Rococo Rose, or Rose, whatever, Rococo Rose, which is the same color as this paper. So again, I just inked it up, and I'm just going to start gliding it over. So I wanted the little white highlights, and I wanted some little darker highlights as well. And you choose if you want to do this, and then how much you want to do this. You'll notice I'm making a mess on my background paper, but that's okay. I want just a little bit more right there. And that looks pretty good. Now remember, that will soften as it dries if you think that's a little strong for you. You can always practice on the back, or you can emboss something else and practice on it if you don't trust how this might look on your card. So I'm going to set that aside right now and let it dry just a bit. I'm going to get out my image that I want to stamp. So I am going to use this foam because I'm using the photopolymer stamps. The Inspiring Iris is photopolymer. I'm going to take my pretty peacock and since I'm not going to run off the page, I'm not worrying about putting another piece of white behind it. I'm going to set it down where I want it. And remember, give the ink time to transfer. Just set it straight down, touch it everywhere, give it a minute to transfer, and then pick it straight up. Yay, beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I happen to know, because I've been using this ink pad, that it's pretty dried out. So I thought before we went on, I would get out my handy dandy re-inker and show you how to re-ink an ink pad. Now, two things you'll need is your re-inker and a spoon. Just a plastic spoon is great. And one thing you want to avoid is re-inking too much. So be a little spare and just run it back and forth and put a little ink on there. Again, you want to avoid over inking. And then you see how it's kind of it's not even on there, that's what the spoon's for. Just take the spoon, even out the ink distribution. And then you have some on the back of your spoon. You can wipe that off. Now I'm going to get my stamp and I'm just going to test it out and see if I'm happy with how much it's inked. And I think that's about what it's supposed to look like, because this is one of those stamps that are shaded. They're darker in some spots and lighter in others. So I'm going to bring my project back in, ink this up. Oops, I made a little mess. Wipe that off a bit. And just lay it down. And again, just give it a minute to transfer. Touch it. You don't really have to like put all your weight on it or anything. You just have to touch it and leave it. And that's pretty nice. And I just really wanted just a little bit of color in there. So I will wipe that one off. Put away that ink pad. And the next one I need is my Blossom and my Rococo Rose. And it looks like it's been used pretty well there, because that's probably where I tap it. So I'm going to tap it up here this time. I'll just tap it all around kind of evenly. I can check it right there because that's what that's for. And just go ahead and lay this down. And I like it pretty close to the... There, happy with that. And then I have my inside to do, so I'll go ahead and finish my stamping. And on my inside, I really only did just the image. So, just set this down. Again, touch it everywhere. Give it time to transfer. Pick it straight up. Lovely. So I think I'm done with stamping now, and I just have to assemble. So get rid of the ink pads, wipe off my fingers, and start my assembly. So this goes in the inside. You see, I got ink on me. Okay, just stick some glue on this. I like the wet glue because it is forgiving. If I don't get it right down where it goes, I can slide it a bit while it's still wet. And then just being very careful. I know my fingers are inky. I will press that down like that. And let's do the back. And stick it to our card base. I know some of you like to do your insides first. I don't always do that, but this one was easy. So let's do the easy part first. And again, I'm just going to shut it to press it down because I may have still a little bit of that pretty peacock ink on my finger. So now I've set this aside. It's probably going to fade a little more, but the next piece I need is this to just glue under here. So the dies I've used today is this little edgelet from the Ornate Borders dies for that, and this frame from the Ornate Layers dies for this. Oh, I don't want to get ahead of myself. First thing I need to do, see my card, I need to put my ribbon on. So I like to just take some double stick tape and make a nice big long piece here. Then I can turn this over and stick it pretty much wherever I want it because I have a big long piece of tape. And I can take a little minute and get it straightened. And then I want to do the same thing with this because I want to just layer that. So I'm going to go back to my double stick tape. I know it doesn't need to be any bigger than this particular piece of ribbon. I'll just put one little bit there. That's pretty much in the middle. I can move it if I need to. Come around. I really have a bigger piece than I need, and you will too. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead and trim those edges off, because I don't really need them sticking through there, adding bulk to my card. Okay, so we got that done. Let's glue this on the back. And mine's a little long, and yours probably will be too. We'll just trim that off with the scissors. So I'm just going to put a line of glue. Make sure I got the right place. A line of glue along the edge here. And then I can just place this wherever I want it. And I want it pretty much back to where the dots are. And that'll give me a nice straight. And then I see that I do have that little tiny bit. So I'm just going to get my snips and snip it off. No, I didn't quite get it. Let's do it from this side. There we go. Now, that's ready to go to my card front. And this was actually cut at 5.5, the same as my card base. However, running it through the embossing machine shrunk it up a little bit to raise the dots, but that's okay. I've got a little itty bitty tiny border at the top and bottom, which is fine. So put my glue on here. And this is an embossed piece of paper, so I like to use wet glue. I find it really does adhere better than the tape runners. And let's get this on here. And then I can get my other piece of twine and make myself a little knot. This is probably the most tricky of the whole deal, is to get this knot where I want it. Oh, it's working out for me today. I had a heck of a time last time. And then trim it. In fact, I had such a time last time I had to glue dot it down so it would stay where I wanted, but this one's hanging very nicely. Yay! And the last thing is to grab some dimensionals. And I stamped on the back because I knew that my green was getting low. So and you only want them at the top and the bottom because you don't want them over top of this cording. Take these off. Got these laying everywhere in my house. I just pick them and fling them off and put it down. And there's our first card. Now there's room in there for a sentiment if you like. And I particularly like this, sending hugs, prayers, and lots of love. And I might stick it up there, but use your own stamp sets. Decide what you want to say. I don't know what your needs are. It could be a birthday card. It could be a Mother's Day card. It could be a thinking of you. It could be just about anything. So that is card number 1. And coming soon, our next one will be this one. So the next video will be on how to make this card. And all of these will be posted. If you have not contacted me and you still want, I still have available some cards to go. Some of you have contacted me, and this past week has been a lovely week because I have actually gotten to see a few of your faces, and that has just made my day on those days, and actually even made my week, because as most of you, I have been in the house or been at home for a long time. So, lovely to see your faces. I can do some porch drop off if that's what you want, or I can put it in the mail, whichever works best for you. I can invoice via PayPal, or you can send me, whichever works for you. But this is card number 1. Stay tuned for cards number 2 and 3. So when you get your cards made, please send me a picture. I want to see what you've done. I want to see what stamp sets you've used. I want to see how you've decorated them. I love interacting with you. Don't feel like you're bothering me with your emails. I love getting them. I'm pretty much in the same boat as all of you. We're all staying safe at home, and the interaction is good medicine. So coming soon, cards number 2 and 3 in video format, as well as I will write up the instructions and put them out so you can read them if you want, or you can watch me if you want, whichever. So take care all, stay safe, be healthy, and I'll be back soon. Bye.